A young gorilla lies helpless, ensnared in the suffocating coils of a python when its mother unleashes a bone-chilling roar. The sound tears through the serene air of the savanna woodland. A raw, primal cry of anguish and fury. The scene is etched in stark clarity along a dusty, sun-scorched path, a human-trodden vein cutting through the wild heart of this untamed land. Standing mere feet away is a silverback matriarch, a towering mass of black fur and raw strength. Her lips peel back, bearing fearsome canines, every sinew in her mighty frame taut, poised to erupt. Her entire existence has collapsed into this single, harrowing moment, the predator and her child. The serpent, a massive African rock python, remains unmoved by the mother's rage, its intricate scales glinting as its body, thick as a warrior's arm, tightens with relentless precision. Its head lifts slightly, forked tongue darting, sampling the air, measuring the threat. A cold, instinct-driven machine, it has no intention of releasing its prize. The air hums with tension, a silent clash between two titans of the wild. That soul-shaking roar wasn't just a sound, it was a desperate plea for aid. Nearby, an African tribal man, lean and weathered, pauses mid-step, his spear gripped tightly, eyes locked on the unfolding drama. To understand how this crisis erupted, we must rewind just minutes earlier to a moment of calm and innocent exploration. The African sun filtered through the sparse acacia canopy, casting golden patches of light. Below, a troop of gorillas moved with quiet intent. Their gentle grunts and the faint whisper of leaves underfoot were the only sounds disturbing the stillness. This was their haven, a realm of lush greenery and boundless life. Nearby, the African tribal man, his steps silent on the earth, moved with purpose, his eyes scanning the troop with a quiet reverence for their world. Mothers tended to their young, grooming them with care, while the dominant silverback surveyed his family with calm, steadfast authority. Among them was a young gorilla, his eyes bright with the endless curiosity of youth. To him, the world was a vast playground. He rolled through the tall grass with another juvenile, swatted playfully at a vibrant butterfly flitting just beyond his grasp, and studied crawling insects with rapt focus. His mother remained close, her steady presence a warm anchor that gave him the courage to roam. As the troop foraged, drifting along the woodland's edge, something unusual caught his eye. A strange, dark strip stretched flat and still across the earth, the path. Unlike the familiar soft soil and knotted roots, it was solid, sun-warmed, and utterly captivating. Drawn by an instinct he couldn't name, he strayed from the troop's safety, waddling onto the open trail to explore this oddity in his world. The African tribal man, watching from a distance, paused, his hand tightening on his spear as he noted the young gorilla's wandering. This innate curiosity, so crucial for a young primate's growth and learning, was also what could lead it into the gravest peril. For in this seemingly pristine world, shadows conceal more than mere respite from the sun. What hidden peril lurks for a young explorer who strays too far? The African tribal man, his gaze sharp and knowing, paused at the edge of the path, his spear resting lightly in his hand, sensing a disturbance in the harmony of the wild. Hidden perfectly in the tall grass beside the path lay a silent harbinger of death. An African rock python, its mottled brown and olive scales a flawless tapestry of natural camouflage, waited in stillness. It had lain there for hours, a patient predator perfected by the art of ambush. To it, the young gorilla was not a creature of innocence but a mere ripple of motion, a pulse of warmth signaling prey. The strike was a flash of lethal speed. Before the young gorilla could sense the danger, before he could let out a cry, the python's jaws clamped down, its body surging forward in a relentless cascade of constricting force. The playful curiosity of moments ago was snuffed out, replaced by a mute, suffocating horror as the first coil encircled his small frame, then a second and a third. The African tribal man, still watching from the edge of the clearing, froze, his breath catching as he gripped his spear, eyes fixed on the sudden, brutal scene unfolding before him. Have you ever seen the unyielding strength of a mother's instinct? It's one of nature's most unstoppable forces. With the young gorilla ensnared, its breath being crushed away, its silent struggle seemed futile. But the python had not accounted for the sacred bond it had just shattered, or the fury it was about to awaken. The mother gorilla's head jerked up, a deep-rooted instinct, a sixth sense sharpened by years of nurturing her young, screaming that something was terribly wrong. The familiar warmth of her child's presence had vanished. She let out a low, searching grunt, but the heavy, unnatural silence that answered sent a cold spike of panic through her. She surged forward with breathtaking speed, crashing through the underbrush, her powerful nose low, tracing the faint, fading scent of her offspring. Her senses, razor-sharp and locked in, guided her from the trees onto the sun-warmed path. Then she saw it. The sight before her sparked a primal inferno deep within her core. Her gentle, nurturing spirit evaporated, consumed by a searing, white-hot rage. She didn't falter. She charged, the earth seeming to quake beneath her mighty strides. No longer just a mother, she was a guardian, a warrior, an unstoppable force of nature. She halted mere feet from the python, and it was then that she unleashed the roar, a sound so potent it was a physical wave of wrath, a vow of devastating retribution. Not far off, an African tribal man, lean and vigilant, was moving through the savanna, his spear in hand, his eyes catching the distant echo of that primal cry. Kweku, a seasoned warrior with 2 decades of wisdom carved into the lines of his weathered face, moved swiftly through the savanna, his spear balanced in his calloused hand. He and his companion, ever watchful, patrolled the land, their presence a silent shield against those who would harm the wild. Then it reached them, the roar, distant but unmistakable, carried across the open plain. Kweku knew that sound, its raw fury etched deep in his memory. Kweku had heard countless gorilla calls over the years, their grunts and hoots as familiar as the wind across the savanna. But this was different. It wasn't a territorial bellow aimed at a rival. It was a piercing wail of sheer mortal terror. A seasoned warrior like Kweku knew a gorilla's distress roar was distinct, a primal alarm that signaled a life hanging in the balance. No words passed between him and his companion. A single, knowing glance was enough. With swift precision, Kweku adjusted his grip on his spear and broke into a run, his feet pounding the earth, kicking up clouds of red dust. They raced toward the source of that harrowing cry, aware that every fleeting second could mean the difference between life and death. Let us know in the comments if you believe animals feel emotions like curiosity and fear, just as we do. With human aid still minutes away and her child slipping away before her eyes, the mother gorilla faced an agonizing choice: wait for help that might never arrive, or act on the primal instinct roaring within her. Just as the faint rustle of Kweku's swift footsteps grew audible, the mother gorilla made her choice. With a surge of heart-stopping courage and raw desperation, she lunged forward. She did the unthinkable. She cast aside all fear of the python's deadly fangs and hurled herself at the serpent's thick, sinewy body. With her mighty hands, she clawed and yanked at the snake, her immense strength battling its suffocating coils. She strained, desperate to unravel the lethal cage crushing her child. It was a wild, heart-wrenching spectacle, a frantic mother wrestling a massive reptile on the sun-scorched path. Yet, for all her power, the python's grip was unyielding, its entire form a single, tightening muscle built for this grim purpose. At that moment, Kweku and his companion burst from the tree line, their feet pounding the earth as they sprinted forward. They halted abruptly, gripping long, sturdy wooden spears crafted for such dire moments. Without a moment's hesitation, they charged toward the maelstrom of violence. What they saw was a vision from a nightmare, a 400-pound gorilla locked in a primal struggle with a 15-foot python, both fighting over the tiny, helpless form of the young gorilla. What unfolded next was extraordinary. Kweku and his companion moved in, and the mother gorilla, even in her fury, seemed to sense their purpose. She didn't turn on them. In the chaos of battle, a silent, unspoken bond formed. As she pressed her ferocious attack, Kweku and his companion deftly wielded their spears and sturdy wooden staffs, using them as levers, prying them between the python's relentless coils. Kweku and his companion worked with precision and bravery, skillfully maneuvering their spears and staffs to pry apart the python's coils without harming the trapped infant or the furious mother. The air rang with the gorilla's guttural roars, the men's urgent shouts, and the strained, visceral sounds of the struggle. Man and ape, distant kin separated by eons, stood united in a desperate fight. At last, with a synchronized thrust of Kweku's staff and one final, mighty pull from the mother, a segment of the python's body gave way. It was enough. The young gorilla tumbled free from the lethal grip, collapsing limp and motionless onto the path. The python, its focus shattered and its body battered, slithered swiftly into the safety of the dense undergrowth. What do you think is racing through the mother gorilla's mind at this moment? Share your thoughts below. They had won the battle, but as they all gazed down at the small, still form lying on the dusty path, the critical question lingered: had they won the war? A haunting silence settled over the scene, broken only by the mother's panting breaths and the heavy exhales of Kweku and his companion. The adrenaline of the fight faded, replaced by a tense, anxious hush. The mother gorilla stepped back, her powerful chest heaving with exhaustion. Yet her dark, intelligent eyes remained fixed on her child's motionless form. In a profound act of trust, she watched as Kweku cautiously approached. Kweku knelt beside the young gorilla, its small body terrifyingly still. With a gentle, skilled hand, he pressed 2 fingers to its chest, searching for a pulse, his face close to its own, watching for the faintest sign of breath. For 1 agonizing second, then 2, there was nothing. The mother let out a low, anguished whimper, a sound of soul-crushing despair. Then it happened. A faint, almost imperceptible twitch of the chest, a shallow, trembling breath, a weak cough that barely stirred the dust. The young gorilla was alive. Relief swept over them like a tidal wave. Kweku glanced up, first at his companion with a slow, weary nod, then at the mother, offering her a quiet look of reassurance before respectfully stepping back to give the family their space. In an instant, the mother was there, gathering her child with profound tenderness. She cradled the young gorilla against her chest, rocking it gently, grooming its fur with her lips, and uttering soft, loving grunts. It was a deeply intimate and profoundly moving reunion. As she held her rescued child, she looked toward Kweku. In that brief, steady gaze, a silent exchange of understanding and gratitude passed between them. This moment was why warriors like Kweku devoted their lives to protecting the wild. It's not just about saving an animal. It's about safeguarding the deep bonds that define life on this planet. This gripping rescue stands as a powerful testament that compassion speaks a universal language and that love, especially a mother's love, is a force that transcends all barriers. On that sun-scorched path, the divide between human and animal dissolved, replaced by the shared pulse of love, fear, and an unyielding will to survive. The work of warriors like Kweku unfolds every day, far from the spotlight. These are the unsung heroes on the front lines of protecting the wild. To witness another remarkable story of rescue and the unbreakable bonds of the animal kingdom, click on the video appearing on your screen now. Thank you for watching and for caring.